The next one is conduct a public hearing consideration for resolution number 2026-12 on strategic priorities. Ryan, would you mind covering that?
Yes. Matt's going to read the resolution, and I've got a quick presentation.
So this is first reading of resolution number 2026-12, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, adopting strategic priorities and associated objectives to guide the city's vision, policy development, and operational decision-making, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Mayor and Commission, I'm going to go through a presentation and then turn it over to all of you, because this is really your work, just the messenger. We did print out a packet of the retreat notes that were provided by SGR. We left them over near the coffee stand, so if any neighbor would like to take a look at that, review it, it's a little more detailed than what I'm presenting, but it really just gives a good scope of the quality work this commission did. So with that, got the new clicker that was gifted to us by a neighbor, so I want to appreciate that. I know Robin appreciates that. So strategic planning retreat. The City Commission at Indian Rocks Beach held a retreat, the Holiday Inn, on April 15th and the 16th, to discuss the strategic vision for the city. With the newly elected body, felt it was appropriate to get together and talk about where do we want to go and how are we going to get there. Each commissioner and the mayor attended, and as did myself and staff members. I want to just thank all the staff that attended that retreat. It was great for us to hear from you and from you to hear from us as well. Mike Mowry with SGR facilitated the retreat. He did a great job. He's very experienced in this, and certainly appreciate Mike and his leadership on this. I want to say that and then. Oh, there you go. No. I just need to be more. I need to be more patient. Okay, so one of the first things we talked about was reputational drivers. What do we want to be known for? Again, this came from the commission. Want to be known for community identity and preservation. Maintain that small town character. Respect the history of IRB. And as the mayor likes to say, we're a community, not a commodity. Putting that community over the commodity of Indian Rocks Beach. We want strategic growth and marketing. Want to be known for that, where we prioritize population growth. That means focus on expanding the resident base, our neighbor base. That's a key driver for the town's future. Be a proactive leader and innovator. Voice an example for change. I think you're going to see that with the resolution that comes after this. That's before this commission. But lead by example in building sustaining community. We want to be known for civic governance and culture, opening up City Hall, making City Hall that for the people. We've already started doing that with coffee at City Hall, and certainly with the 35 applications that we received for our boards and commission. I think that shows in the neighbor advisory board that we are committed to hearing from our neighbors in our community and bringing them into City Hall to participate in local governance. And environmental stewardship. Obviously, we have a precious resource that's here, and our goal is to maintain that and to be environmental stewards and making sure that we can keep what makes it special, what makes it so unique, and that's our impeccable beach. So we have two slides for pressing needs, but what was evident out of the conversation when it came to strategic priorities was that really short-term rentals and our vacation rental ordinance was a pressing need in itself. And so there's actually its own kind of section on how we want to move forward with addressing short-term rentals. This commission talked about legislative and advocacy strategy, educating the state legislature, building a coalition of other beach communities that have seen the proliferation of short-term rentals in their community and the deleterious effect that that's had in the community, and also seeking state assistance, advocate for help from the state legislature to overcome the limitations that we have on our control, on local control. We talked about regulatory and legal action being a pressing need, looking at our ordinance, updating our ordinance. Again, we've already taken steps in that. At our last meeting, we approved an item where we're getting outside legal help to look at our ordinance, review it, and then a forthcoming memo will be on that, just articulating all of the elements of that contract and agreement with the representing law firm. Aggressive enforcement. We talked about we want to get to code compliance, but right now we're in code enforcement mode, and the goal is to get to compliance, where just everybody naturally complies with our ordinance. But as you've seen through our efforts over the past months, we're in enforcement mode, making sure that people register their property, renew their property, and then if not, bringing them before the special magistrate. So we're still in that enforcement mode. Limiting growth of STRs, figuring out legal and policy pathways where we can do that. The pressing need that short-term rentals, we have to address is the community and infrastructure impact, the infrastructure strain. Talked about the population decline, the homestead decline in our community. And then also voter education. So when voters go to the polls to elect state legislators, where do those legislators, where do they stand on short-term rentals, right? And kind of aligning that desire for more local control with how they vote. And just educating, obviously not telling, but educating. But we also talked about other pressing needs, and we're going to, disaster management and recovery, Hurricane Task Force. We meet tomorrow to start talking about that, the recovery, continual recovery from a couple of years ago. Transportation and public safety, talked about parking management, that's come up already, road safety, traffic analytics. And then governance and land use, it just goes back, again, to advocating for that home rule. We know what's best for our community. You know, as elected by this community, what's best for this community, and trying to take back that home rule power. So those were identified as other pressing needs. The resolution that is tied to this item, however, is to adopt the 5 strategic priorities as determined by all of you. And those 5 priorities, in no specific order, actually it's in alphabetical order, but not in order of importance. Attend to hurricane needs, create a master plan, enforce city ordinances, increase the residential population, and protect home rule. And I did, there's a lot to it, and so I'm glad that the community is able to get the packet and get the retreat report. But these are just what came out of, attending to hurricane needs, establishing a comprehensive communications framework, conduct post-storm review, and analyze lessons learned. That's obviously going to be a key component of the Hurricane Task Force's job. Optimize post-event resources and fund management. We've even, I appreciate Commissioner King even mentioning, the grants that are out there to look at, to look at opportunities for funding programs moving forward for resiliency in our community, and expedite local recovery. And that was something that was brought up. We see the vacant lots, and figuring out what we can do to help neighbors, and then obviously figuring out ways that we can be maybe more responsive than we were. Not necessarily of anyone's fault, but just if we are to face what we faced a couple of years ago, what did we learn from that, and how do we respond better moving forward? Okay, create a master plan. So we talked about stakeholder engagement and visioning. That's come up previously in our commission meetings, where we've talked about opening up our land development regulations, looking at that. I know in even meeting with A2K, the conversation about preserving what makes Indian Rocks Beach special, not necessarily historic, setting up a historic preservation district, but advocating for architectural designs that preserve the history of Indian Rocks Beach. But involving the stakeholders, involving the community in that. We talked about technical expertise and procurement. I made that recommendation that we bring in a third party to help us navigate the changes to the Land Development Regulation Code. Obviously, utilizing the talent of our Planning and Zoning Commission to look at that. It's Civil Serve, our consultant, but doing it thoughtfully and doing it with the experts to make sure that we get it right and that we don't do it piecemeal. As I mentioned, our Land Development Regulation Codes haven't been updated since 1981, And rather than doing it piecemeal, we want to do it holistically. So that was talked about when we talked about create a master plan. And then implementation and timeline, doing it as quickly as we can, but also making sure that we do it thoughtfully and that we give it the due process it deserves so that it stands and it sticks. Okay. Enforce city ordinances, talked a little bit about this already when we talked about pressing needs, but just communication, community alignment, continue to update our community. We've done things already. We brought in management companies to walk them through our ordinance and answer their questions. But we want to be transparent. We want to be open. We have a robust website that articulates, how we're registering properties, and what we're collecting, off the special magistrate meetings. And it's not a moneymaker, but there's a lot of time, there's a lot of staff effort, a lot of costs that go into enforcing our short-term rental ordinance. And so, that's why, you don't follow, you go to the special magistrate, and there's the fine that gets levied with that. And then looking at operational capacity, especially as we enter that paid parking phase, right? We have great code officers, our code team is dedicated, they're hardworking, but you've already heard me talk about as we prepare for the next budget season, we talk about our budget, what does it look like enhancing our code enforcement efforts. Regulatory review and modernization, again, just ensuring that city ordinances remain relative and the community's evolving vision of community over commodity, so taking a look at that periodically. And then just a consistent enforcement process. I think we've made a lot of headway in that. I think as even a neighbor articulated during neighbor comments, calling and getting that response, understanding what the process is, seeing the whole email chain. Now that's important for us. We want to be open. We want everybody to understand. And we're asking people to follow the rules, and we're going to help them follow the rules. And then the last one is something that we spent a lot of time on, and this is something that the second to last one, but falls into protect home rule, but increase that residential population. We talked about as our population, homestead properties have decreased, that sense of wanting to enhance neighborhood stability, focus on community engagement. Cost of living is high here. I understand that. It's a beautiful place to live. But not a lot of people can afford, obviously, to live in Indian Rocks Beach. Certainly people with families. So how do we look at that? How do we consider that? How do we take action on that? And then prioritize local services. Collaborating with the local business community to create initiatives that foster that desire for families to live in Indian Rocks Beach. I think doing things like recognizing, Beckett, right? And we have a proclamation actually scheduled for the next meeting too, where we recognize another community leader, an artist. Letting just that sense of recognizing those individuals that live here and really contribute to what makes Indian Rocks Beach special. The community events, how can we help? And I've said this from day one. I'm continually amazed by the commitment of volunteer organizations in this community. I'm so used to going and ask, or people coming in and asking for things for the city. It's incredibly refreshing to hear people come in and say, this is what we want to give the city, to help the city, to promote the city, and that's really, really special. And continually, I want to continue to foster that. You all talked about continuing fostering that and engaging in those volunteer groups to really showcase how special Indian Rocks Beach is. And then the last one, protect home rule. And that's something that, we're not the only community in the only state that are dealing with this. There's been this kind of takeover of trying to create wards of the state. So I like to say that cities are becoming wards of the state. And, you all know what's best for this community, representing this community. So how can we protect our home rule? How can we, build a network of other communities that are facing the same situations we are, and developing a plan of action to go to Tallahassee and say, enough's enough. You've done this to us, and and it's not just IRB, but there are other beach communities that are facing the exact same things we are. And so how can we be a leader in that and bring other cities together and foster that network and that communication. That was incredibly important for all of you. You all talked about it, and we've got some things that staff and I are already looking at that we're going to include in the budget to prioritize that Protect Home Rule initiative. So with that, that's the presentation. I turn it all to you to talk more and further.
This presentation revolves around the resolution number 2026-12, so I'm going to open it up to the commission for discussion.
I don't know if we wanted to open it up to the public.
Okay.
I know we didn't have that specifically scheduled.
We did not really have it scheduled to open up to the public because we had the strategy session that was open to the
Right.
public.
Right.
But if you deem fit,
I'm not sure. I just want to
Well,
look to Matt for
Matt
process.
would
Yes, and actually, I think we need to go back an item after this and take public comment on the golf court ordinance.
okay.
But yeah, I'd ask that you take, if there's any, I mean, we don't have to sign a sheet, so.
No, but I think traditionally we present it and then open it up to the public.
Okay.
And maybe one comment, and
And
then
the-
certainly everybody can then.
Okay, and the golf cart, as I was under the impression we were just following state law.
Yeah, but we need to take public comment on the ordinance.
So we
I'm
will
used to
take a
signing that
step
sheet
back.
and others.
We will take a step back and we will open up public hearing for the golf cart resolution. Would anybody like to talk about the golf cart resolution?
Hi, Patty Katz, 124 13th Avenue, Indian Rocks Beach.
Okay.
Hi, I just really think it should be a priority to make sure that everybody's aware of it and how we implement that, because there are so many people that don't know that are short-term renters, and then they come with a golf cart. And I hate to see these kids trying to have some fun and not be aware of what's going on. So I just like to give my support to really making people aware of, I mean, well, you said it's state law, but as we know, there are many young kids riding around. So I hope that we can implement that with information.
Thank you. Anybody else like to, at this particular point in time, I'm going to close the golf cart discussion. So let's go on ahead and, would anybody like to open up would anybody like to speak about resolution 2026-12 regarding the resolution for the City Commission of Indian Rocks Beach and our objectives to guide the city's vision and policy development? No? Okay. Okay, please.
Matthew Aaroncliffe, 211 Pleasant Avenue. I'm really interested to understand how the city is proposing to increase the full-time residency. If they actually done the analysis on why people left. There's a lot of old people who retired, who left the community. Some have passed away. Hurricanes took a lot of people out. The county and the state has not been so friendly to rebuilding. It seems to be that the only reason that people have left is because short-term rentals. That's always going to be the catalyst for decision making. I hope that all this effort to improve the vitality of local residents actually digs into the cause people leave, not just the feelings that this group continues to espouse, that short-term rentals have driven everyone out. All those individuals who sold their home did so without duress. All the monies that come into this city through fines come from people with short-term rent. Property taxes, as Mr. Gomez has pointed out, predominantly come from short-term rentals. So if the city's planning to eliminate short-term rentals, through backdoor initiatives like 2612. I hope they have a plan on how they're going to recover those lost funds. Because at this point, all I hear is short-term rentals are the uttermost biggest problem that exists, yet we have people who can't rebuild their homes, we have abandoned homes, we have an aging population who's selling at a premium. Now we have houses on the market for 100+ days, 108 properties. You're not going to go anywhere when you have a commission that's continuing to vote on initiatives that reduce the number of buyers in the market, only to satisfy a little ego that you've now eliminated these people from across the bridge from coming to your bright little community. It's depressing that this commission is so fascinated with eliminating a problem they think exists because of short-term rentals. And in fact, beaches are very expensive to live on. The cost for flood insurance takes away a lot of people want to buy it. There's no school here. Why is a family going to move here when they can live across the bridge and walk to school? These things you don't account for because you're mired in fighting me, trying to eliminate me from the ballot. I won that battle. I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Matt. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Beth McMillan, 41 Harbor Drive South. The benefit of living here for 34 years is that you get to know the history. When I first moved here in 1992, it was an aging population. And we were the youngest on our block or anywhere near us. However, that quickly changed soon after we started living here. And more younger families started to come and move into Indian Rocks Beach. And a lot of it was because of Mildred Helms, because of Indian Rocks Christian School, and all the other schools that are surrounding the area. So I don't necessarily agree with what was said just now. And I do love the fact that we are still trying to fight for our small town vibe, because if you look at all the things over and over again on social media, why do you visit here? What do you love about this area? It's always, we love the small town vibe. We love the friendly atmosphere. We love the residents are so friendly. All of that. So I love the direction that y'all are going with, and I appreciate that you are working so hard to define our town and commit to it. And I think we should all have a bumper sticker that says community over commodity, because I love that to dust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth.
Diane Daniel, 309 10th Avenue. I wasn't going to say anything, but then the negativity brought me up here to say some positivity. Okay, a little negativity. I feel like with the cost of real estate, it's really going to be hard to get people here. In fact, you need an aging population because we're the only ones who have money. But otherwise, I think it's phenomenal that there has been this groundswell of sentiment about this for years, and now the city is really looking into it as a real action to investigate it. And I think that it's just a fantastic initiative. So thank you very much for doing it.
Thank you.
Jeff Graham, 1900 Beach Trail. So I think the truth is somewhere in between what Matt said and what else was said. And Matt did make some good points. We're no different than so many other beach communities around Florida and other places, right? I mean, it's aging communities. Home values have escalated rapidly. People are aging and need to move, and they're faced with the challenge of moving, but maybe not being able to afford to go somewhere else. It's a serious problem. It's not specific to Indian Rocks Beach. I think we have a lot of advantages over some of these other communities. But I think what I hope, and I'm volunteering my time to be on boards, what I'm hoping is we can find the happy middle, right? The short-term rentals aren't going to go away, right? I mean, they're here, and we have to figure out how to have good ordinances and have good enforcement capabilities and make them, comply with what they need to comply with, and there'll be a growing revenue source too from the fees and taxes and fines and whatnot as we collect. But I do share Matt's comment. Maybe I see it a little bit differently, but I think that they're not going away, and I think we need to focus on bringing people together and finding ways to do some of the things that you guys are talking about, but not at the expense or the effort of trying to get rid of the short-term rentals, because they're not going anywhere. They're here to stay, not just here in Indian Rocks Beach, but around the country.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Fansfield, 448 Harvard Road South.
Hi, John.
I am in awe of what you put together. I mean, it's the first time I've seen this kind of leadership in the 30-something years I've been here. It is brilliant. It's so good to hear. People who are talking, some of the people come up here, keep talking about getting rid of short-term rentals. Nobody's talking about getting rid of short-term rentals. That's a ridiculous argument. The cause for concern are short-term rentals in residential areas. Other silly arguments, oh, the population is aging. Well, it's always aging. I mean, that's absurd. There's nothing to that. There's short-term rentals are bringing in money we couldn't do without when it comes to property taxes. Guess what? 10 years ago, we were doing just fine. So these are just silly, nonsensical arguments. But what is true is, I can name off the residents, the people that were my friends, that we had dinner with, that we talked to on a weekly basis, that have left our neighborhood because of short-term rentals, destroying their peace of mind. When they come home, they have to be next to a hotel that is completely unsupervised. Nobody sees who's checking in. Nobody sees what they're doing. Nobody sees how many people are coming. So it's short-term rentals in residential areas. You can live without them, certainly in residential areas. And there's areas now that are virtually, they used to be wonderful residential areas, First Street, Second Street. There's hardly a resident there. They're hotel districts. So I'm so glad that we finally got some leadership to take a look at this and not listen to these nonsensical arguments. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hi, Beth Flynn, 914 Harbor House Drive. I think this report is amazing. I'm excited to see this. I do have some concerns or some clarity. The 5 strategic priorities, I really don't see where the environment is a priority. I see it listed underneath community identity preservation, but we've got increased residential population, enforce the ordinances, create a master plan. One of our biggest drives or drivers or attractions is our environment. And if we don't pay attention to that, we're going to lose it. I think that's all I want to say right now. I need to digest this a bit more. Thank you.
Sean, 1206 Gulf Boulevard. There's a lot here, and I didn't have time to get it too much, but I just have a couple comments addressing some of the bullets that are out here. But just start by mentioning that my take is we can't wind back the clock. The reality is we are where we are today. We need to move forward in the most productive way for the city. I am an SDR owner. I own units on the west side of Gulf Boulevard in CT zones. I do think generally, as I've been at meetings for the last 4 years, there has been little mention of bringing the STR owners into the conversation. I live here. I own properties here. My kids and I clean the beaches. We use the parks. I am 100% invested in IRB. But I don't feel like the voices of the STR owners are being truly considered in the conversation. There's a lot of reasons people move. It's not just STRs. I'm sure there's a portion that can be attributed to that. But there's so many other reasons that people have left the last few years. In regards to the beach preservation, I would like to point out, as far as I'm aware, the tourist development tax paid for the bulk of the beach renourishment. That was done recently. And I do want to point out, as we're kind of demonizing some of the SDRs, we're talking about hurricane needs. I mean, some of the local businesses that were here tonight, as well as many others, and many SDR owners, really stepped up after the hurricane to provide for residents. My wife and I provided housing to 8 people for 4 months that were displaced, and we didn't cover our bills. So it takes all of us to really move the city forward in a productive way. And I think the focus on neighborhood stability, home ownership, all that makes sense. But I think that there has to be as much focus and dedication in regards to amenities that families and residents truly value and are willing to pay for to move here. Things like parks that I mentioned earlier. Somebody on the commission brought up camps. Things like that are what truly matter. And an aging population, it's real. I'm not going to mention the group, but my wife's a board member at a local organization, and their average membership is like 74 years old. And it's critical to them to build a pipeline of younger residents to keep that amenity available to the city going forward. So we need to address all the different components that make IRB what it is today. Thanks.
Thank you.
This is my turn. I haven't done this yet. So, Paul Zingani, 335 12th Ave. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, my first visit here with my wife back in 1996 was at a rental property as we were looking for jobs in Florida. We haven't left permanently that whole time. So we came back to, or I should say we stayed in Indian Rocks Beach because of all the things that we've talked about, all the things that we love. And yes, I came down here, rented a property on the beach, fell in love with the city, and never left. I really appreciate the strategic priorities that the team has developed here, because I feel like if we can take care of some of these things that we feel are the strategies for the future, that's what's going to keep people coming back to vacation here and potentially buy property here and never leave. Because you own a property doesn't mean that you're going to be a short-term renter. And if you are, like last gentleman just stated, we can't wind back the clock and erase those things, but we can have a city that has a plan to beautify, preserve, and keep people coming back that want to live here for a long time. And yeah, we do age out. At some point, people either pass away or leave. But the reality is that if we have something that's fun and happy to live in, a city that has a strategic plan, then we'll stay for a long time and continue to build what we all love and appreciate in Indian Rocks Beach. So thanks for this. I think this is great. It's a good start. As a member of Action 2000, as we've talked about before in the past, I hope that we can create some guidelines at least for future buildings so that we can preserve what we have as a quaint little beach town. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on resolution 2026-12? I'm going to open it up to the commission. If anybody would like to discuss.
I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-12, a resolution adopting strategic priorities and associated objectives to guide the city's vision, policy development, and operational decision-making, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date, establishing the Indian Rocks Beach strategic goals.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will move to the next agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item is the first reading of resolution number 2026-13, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, affirming the city's commitment to preserving and promoting full-time residential communities, recognizing the importance of homeownership in single-family neighborhoods, acknowledging the impact of short-term rentals on the city's resident population, providing for an effective date.
So, Mayor and Commission, as I alluded to in the presentation on our strategic priorities, there was a big emphasis that was put on preserving Indian Rocks Beach as a residential community, preserving our neighborhoods, and really looking at consolidating the effort with other communities that have seen their residential population decrease. One of the items that came out of the strategic planning retreat was a resolution, passing a resolution that affirms our position as a community, as an organization, and kind of utilizing that resolution as a springboard to going and having the conversations with other communities that would be, that we would look to kind of join efforts in having the conversation in Tallahassee about the impact in residential communities of short-term rentals. The resolution before you, Robert, if you could just pull down the resolution. A lot of this was provided from you all. Certain clauses were provided from all of you. Matt and I also, based off the feedback from the commission at the retreat, incorporated language. So this is really before you as kind of the affirmation of the position, and ties into our strategic priority of protecting home rule and also increasing the residential population. So again, this is really formulated from all of you based off the discussion in our strategic planning retreat. And so with that, I turn it back to you, Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to the commission for discussion, or would you guys like me to read it? Okay. I'm going to go on ahead and read this so y'all actually hear it from the commission. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach affirming the city's commitment to preserving and promoting full-time residential communities, recognizing the importance of homeownership in single-family neighborhoods, acknowledging the impact of short-term rentals on the city's resident population, and providing for an effective date. Whereas the City of Indian Rocks Beach is a small coastal community located on approximately 2.5 miles of white sand beaches at the Gulf Coast of Florida. Whereas the city has long recognized for its uniqueness, small-town character, cooperative community spirit, and diverse population of residents across generations. And whereas the Commission has adopted a vision emphasizing the importance of maintaining and growing a stable, engaged, and vibrant full-time resident population. Whereas the full-time residents contribute significantly to the safety, economic stability, civic participation, volunteerism, and overall quality of life within the community. And whereas homeownership and long-term residency within single-family residential neighborhoods are essential to fostering strong neighborhoods and sustaining the social fabric of a city. Whereas the City Commission finds that residents become neighbors, neighbors create neighborhoods, and neighborhoods create community. That is, the loss of neighbors diminishes the integrity of the community as a whole. And whereas the city recognizes and supports local businesses, including lawful and properly regulated short-term rental operations located within the approved zoning districts, operating in compliance with city ordinances as important contributors to our local economy and tourism-based character of the community. Whereas the state of Florida, through Section 509 Florida statutes, preempts certain local regulation of short-term vacation rentals, thereby limiting the city's authority to prohibit such usages in residency zoned areas. Whereas despite such preemption, the City Commission has observed that increasing conversion of single-family homes into short-term rental investment properties has contributed to the decline of the city's full-time resident population. Whereas the proliferation and concentration of short-term rental investment properties in residential neighborhoods can undermine neighborhood stability, reduce long-term residency, and negatively impact character, livability, and quality of life for the community. And whereas the City Commission further finds that concentrated short-term rental activity in a residential neighborhood may contribute to increased parking congestion, noise, garbage generation, demands on infrastructure and municipal services, public safety concerns, and other impacts inconsistent with the character and expectations of a traditional single-family residential neighborhood. And whereas the City Commission recognizes that short-term rentals operating primarily as a transient commercial enterprises may represent an increase in use intensity within a residential area, may create impacts more commonly associated with commercial operations, including increased occupancy, turnover, density-related impacts, and increased demands on public infrastructure and municipal resources. Whereas the City Commission finds it in the best interests of public health, safety, and welfare to support the policies and initiatives that encourage full-time residency and homeownership within single-family neighborhoods. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Section 1, the City Commission hereby affirms its commitment to preserving, strengthening the city's full-time resident population as a cornerstone of its community vision. The City Commission recognizes the critical importance of ownership, long-term residency in single-family residential neighborhoods to maintaining the character, stability, and cohesion of a community. The City Commission acknowledges that while lawful short-term rental activity is permitted under state law, the concentration of such uses in residential neighborhoods may be inconsistent with the city's goal of fostering a stable full-time resident population. The City Commission hereby declares its intent to pursue lawful strategies, policies, and advocacy efforts that encourage and promote full-time residency and homeownership, and that mitigate adverse impacts associated with the proliferation of short-term rental investment properties. Section 5, the City Commission directs staff, where appropriate, to explore recommended programs, incentives, and regulatory measures consistent with state law that support the preservation of residential neighborhoods for full-time residents. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Thank you, Mayor. And just as a reminder, before the commission votes on this, if you could take public comment. Thank you.
Does the commission have anything to say? We're going to open the floor to public comment. Does anybody in the public have anything to say?
Patty Katz, 124 13th Avenue, Indian Rock's Beach. I'd just like to say the last two speakers, that one of which I mentioned that owns a short-term rental and lives in the community, wants to work with our community to create more programs, more things for children, help with parking for the ball field so that we can have that sense of community there. That is inspiring to me. It's the negativity of people that stand up that want to fight instead of going with the flow of where our community wants to go, that want to fight what we cherish here in Indian Rocks Beach. That is what puts a dark spot on our community. I hope that we can get more people like the gentleman that stood up the two people ago, who likes both, likes to have a small business, likes to live in our community, wants to create more programs. That gentleman is inspired, and I hope we can. I think that this resolution and your plan is brilliant. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
John Thayer, 1819 Bay Boulevard. I've gone through this whole SGR that was 2026-12, and everybody approved this and everything, and that's all well and good. It looks like a great document. But this -13 looks like some kind of tack on that is just a feel-good for the homes on hotel folks. What does it actually do? What are you going to use it for? Why is it needed when we've got this whole SGR plan already approved? I don't understand what it's for. Thank you.
Jeff Graham, 1900 Beach Trail. So I shared this letter with you. I'm going to read it to the group. To all IRB City Commissioners, I'm writing to express concern regarding the proposed resolution specific to promotion of permanent residential home ownership within the city of IRB. This resolution appears largely unnecessary because it states broad principles that virtually every healthy community already supports: neighborhood stability, civic engagement, prosperity, safety, and community participation. These are not controversial objectives, nor are they unique to permanent owner-occupied housing. Long-term residents, seasonal residents, investors, and all lawful short-term rental owners all contribute to the economic and social fabric of our city in different ways. My concern is not with the aspirational language itself, but rather with the apparent intent and implication behind it. The resolution seems designed less to establish meaningful policy and more to signal disapproval toward legally operated short-term rental properties and their owners, despite the city's limited legal authority to regulate or prohibit them under Florida law. Adopting symbolic resolutions that imply one class of lawful property owners is less valuable than another risk creating unnecessary division within the community. It may also create the public impression that the city is pursuing restrictions or policy outcomes that state law expressly limits municipalities from imposing. the city wishes to genuinely foster community growth and prosperity, it would be more productive to focus on practical, measurable initiatives that benefit all residents and property owners alike, including infrastructure improvements, flood mitigation and storm resilience, public safety enhancements, parking and traffic management, beautification efforts, code enforcement applied equally and fairly, encouraging respectful property management by all owners. These are actionable goals that can unify the community rather than create perception of preferred and unpreferred property ownership. Furthermore, lawful short-term rental owners contribute substantially to the local economy through tourism, local spending, property taxes, employment, hospitality services, and support of local businesses. Many owners also maintain their properties to exceptionally high standards because of the competitive nature of the vacation rental market. A resolution that merely reiterates universally accepted community values while implicitly targeting a lawful form of property ownership risks wasting valuable commission time and public resources without producing tangible benefits to residents. I respectfully encourage the Commission to reconsider whether this resolution serves a meaningful governmental purpose or whether it simply creates unnecessary political signaling that may further divide the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Robin 481 Harvard Drive South. I see it differently. I see it as a commitment. We've had a declining population, and over the last few years, I mean, since this invasion, this uptick in short-term rentals that came into our neighborhoods. We all know neighbors who left as a direct result of their effect that has had on them living in our neighborhoods. Many of us know this. I think that we're finding it more difficult to find volunteers for some of the activities that we put on in the city, that we always put on, that have always been community-driven, volunteer-driven by the residents. Again, one of the reasons why so many people are drawn to our city, because of the charm and because of these small community events that we put on. They're run by the residents. And if we can't get enough residents to be able to volunteer for these, they're going to go away. We've already seen some of that happening, and it's heartbreaking to all of us who have lived here for so long, and to the visitors who come here, who enjoy it as much as we do. So I see this as a commitment by our commission, by our city, to try to preserve our neighborhoods by getting full-time residents. And I appreciate that. So thank you very much for that effort.
Thank you, Beth. Any?
Sorry. Sean Rollins, Wallace, and Scope Boulevard. I forgot to mention this earlier, I wanted to. I would encourage the commission with the strategic plan and this endeavor to, it comes across like the SCR thing is the solve here, and I would encourage you to explore and to really dig in. I mean, Pinellas County has lost more residents the last 2 years than I believe any other county in the country, except Los Angeles County. So the problem is not just in Indian Rocks Beach with SDRs. There's a lot of reasons that need to be addressed. I think to truly be successful in this endeavor, I think we need to explore those and dig into them. Thanks.
Thank you.
Gary Huggins, Beach 1 Villa, 814 Beach Trail. I've been listening all this time tonight about preserving the residential. We actually own a short-term rental on the commercial side. Found Indian Rocks Beach in 2017, fell in love with it. What we fell in love with was the residential and the commercial side, two different sides of the whole, I guess, the way people vacation at all. And as I see you guys try to protect the residential, please, please do it. That's what people come here for. They don't come here for the mega buildings with 20 or 30 beds in them. They come here because it feels like home, it feels safe. The other day, one of my guests came, they were coming back from Coco's and they stopped because I live on site with our property. They came in, they knocked on the door and said, hey, we just drove past 22 Gulf Boulevard. My God, what's going on up there? I said, what? Me and my wife got in the car and drove 22 Gulf Boulevard. There's a nice big mega house there. There were 40 cars, Puerto Rican music playing for 3 blocks away. And guess what? God, I hope this place doesn't turn into that. That's what people say. The real story. Do whatever you have to protect the community. People come to go to the beach. They don't come to live in your backyard and swim in a pool. Most of them own a pool at their house in Ohio. Protect the beach, the commercial side. That's all I got.
Thank you, Gary.
Beth Lynn, 914 Harbor House Drive. I'm going to kind of tag off of John. I'm a little confused on what this ordinance actually does. I think the wording's interesting. I think it's very nice. I think it's very polite. I just don't know what it does. So if someone could help explain that, that would be great.
Thank you, Beth. Anybody else on the floor? At this particular point in time, I'm going to close discussion on the floor. Anybody on the commission like to have a discussion?
Yeah, I would. So I think it's incongruous, the way that we've stated the resolution or the summary of the resolution, and then the whereases that don't really support what we are trying to say. I think the resolution, as we talked about something like this during our strategic planning session, was that we want to stand out as a community that supports and tries to encourage long-term residents here, not to the exclusion of our tourist community, but to grow that residential population, because it's really important to us to maintain that residential base. It is, as stated in some of these statements in the whereases, it drives stability, it drives the volunteers who put on the events that make people want to come stay here. Where I think we've missed the mark on this is the whereases are so focused on short-term rentals and what we can do to limit them in the single-family neighborhoods. I'm not opposed to that, but it's not covering anything else that we talked about that we should be doing to encourage long-term residency, whether it's homeownership or rentals. So I would not put my name on this one as stated.
Okay. Anybody else?
Excuse me, I was thinking the purpose of this resolution, based on the conversation we had, was to be as one topic. That was kind of my takeaway from the planning session. So I hear your points, Commissioner King. I thought this was primarily focused on the one topic, not that we don't have the other items to address. We do, and some of those are addressed in the strategic plan. So
And what is the one topic?
it's what we've addressed here about the short-term rentals in the residential community. I think that this opening statement says that promoting full-time residential communities, recognizing the importance of home ownership in our neighborhoods and the impact that short-term rentals have, the deleterious effect that has. So that was kind of my take on how that works.
Anybody else on the commission, Jane?
Because I don't think we have unanimous agreement on what we have on this, I would like to see us table it, because I think it's very important that when we do come forth with the final one, that it is something that we can all support.
Well, I'm going to say something. I saw the purpose of this is that this is a tool we can take to the other mayors. We can take this tool, if our commission chose to agree on it, and we could become the leader that we talked about in our strategic vision, taking it to the state level and asking for asking them or bringing to their attention. This allowed us to be the catalyst going forward. I don't see anything negative on this. One of the whereases, we specifically state that we're following Florida Statute 509. On another one, it clearly states the obvious. It's completely logical. Residents become neighbors. Neighbors create neighborhoods, and neighborhoods create community. As a leader in the community, I've seen our community dissolve as far as volunteerism. And the 32 people that we got here, I can tell you right now, I spent the last 4 days calling people saying, hey, we need volunteers. We need volunteers. I'm still dealing with that as a chair on another committee in another organization. I've seen what short-term rentals do to the community. I'm an advocate for it. I don't think what does the tool do? It actually gives us something we can put in front of other mayors. My initial plan was to take this to the mayor of Largo, who is struggling right now with short-term rentals, and say, this is what we're doing. Take it to the mayor of Madeira Beach and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're unified. We understand that we have to follow the laws. We're not trying to ask the short-term rentals to close, but we need to find a balance here, and we are fighting for the soul of Indian Rocks Beach. That's my stance. But again, I welcome y'all's dialogue and y'all's input.
Mayor.
Yes.
So the way I saw this resolution was the first step of the coalition building. And in the strategic planning session, we talked about getting an alliance of other cities that were struggling with short-term rental preemption. And I get that it appears to some people that we're anti-short-term rental. The issue is we want to take a position that the state, by preempting us on how we can regulate short-term rentals and where they are, they've done away with any kind of zoning authority. You're taking residential neighborhoods, not communities as a whole, but individual residential neighborhoods, and turn them into commercial districts over the objection of the residents because of the preemption. So the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this was your all's idea, but we're just trying to implement it, is we would take a resolution like this to the other cities that are struggling with the same thing, try to build a bigger unified voice and an alliance to have some meaningful discussion with people in Tallahassee, because what we took away from it is, what we've been told is the preemption issue is a property rights thing for the legislature, but they're not seeing the communities that are being ripped apart by this. They're looking at it from one angle. I think they see it as a residents complaining about vacationers, and so they're not listening, and that's not what's happening. It's actual communities being destroyed. One of the examples we talked about in the planning session was Anne Marie Island at 500 or 5,000 registered voters. They're down to 200 registered voters, permanent residents now. And I don't think the politicians realize in Tallahassee that that's the outcome they're getting. So what this ordinance was built for, or resolution, not that we're anti-short-term rentals. I think everyone agrees, in the planning session everyone agreed, I can say that at least, that visitors are a vital part of Indian Rocks Beach and always have been. It's that the encroachment into the residential districts is what's slowly deteriorating the actual permanent residents, and we don't want to become an Anne Marie Island with 200 permanent residents. And I think this is the first step of that coalition building, to take it around and build up a coalition, to have a unified voice, but also a strategic voice on how we pitch this to Tallahassee to walk back some of that preemption.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Given that, I would like to move to approve Resolution 2026-13, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, affirming the city's commitment to preserving and promoting full-time residential communities, recognizing the importance of home ownership in single-family neighborhoods, acknowledging the impact of short-term rentals on the city's resident population, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Shall we do a roll call then, Lauren?
Yeah, if there's no further discussion, then I think we'll be appropriate.
Can I call for a vote? Or do you- Yes, please.
Sorry, I want to follow up to my previous comment.
Okay.
So thank you, Matthew, for clarifying. I think my concerns are with some of the whereases. They do feel very, I know there's a reason for the pointedness of them, but I don't think we're covering the parts where we agree that there is a need and a desire to retain short-term rentals in some of our areas of town. And I think that's where some of my objections are coming from. It feels very specifically pointed and exclusionary to any short-term rentals, and maybe it's just the way the whereases are stated.
I think that there's a lot of language in here that goes out of its way. I think, long-term residents within single-family residential neighborhoods is said, I don't know how many times, but many, many times in the resolution. And I think by calling out where it's problematic and not citing it in the CT district, which is where those properties rightfully belong, or the business district, I think it is very focused. I think you are right, and that's the intent of the document, to be very focused. And it's not, the way I understood our conversation, with item 4 to increase the resident population, this isn't the roadmap for item 4 on our strategic agenda. This is just, as the mayor said, one tool that's gonna help in that whole big plan that we have to execute. So we have a lot more work to do, you're right, and it's item 4. This isn't meant to cover item 4. This is just, here's one little niche of that problem that we're trying to address. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think that would have been a good conversation to have as a preamble before the reading.
Okay. Thank you. Any more dialogue?
I'd just like to add that any kind of resolutions that we put in place for our neighborhoods, for single-family homes, in regards to short-term rentals or not, whatever kind of resolutions we can put in place to protect our neighborhoods is one of the reasons why I'm sitting up here. And if a lot of people don't believe on what I believe in, they don't have to vote for me in 9 months. But I'm also going to still be sitting up here in 9 months too. I can guarantee you that. So that's all I have to say is many resolutions we can put in ordinances in regards to protecting our neighborhoods, I'm all for it. And if that includes this one right here that we're speaking about right now, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Commissioner Bidwell.
I want to point out too that in the third whereas clause from the bottom on first page says that the city recognizes and supports local businesses, including lawful and properly regulated short-term rental operations located within appropriate zoning districts and operating in compliance with city ordinance as important contributors to the local economy and tourism-based character of the community. I think the reason it is so pointed is because our whole point is that because of the state, we don't have any say of where they can be. And I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Matt. Any more dialogue? I had a motion by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Watt. I guess we'll call for a vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes. And I do have a copy here. Normally, a mayor commissioner would sign this. I'm gonna ask y'all to sign this with me if you're comfortable with it.
No, I am, and thank you for entertaining
Thank
my
you.
dialogue.
Well, and that's why I also thought it was very important, because of the importance of this resolution, that we have the dialogue until we all did support.
Is that?
And thank you, Matt, for facilitating and making that understanding happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Matt.
Maybe could have done that beforehand, I apologize, but I was, kind of, I see these issues in a vacuum, like when we talk about them and then we go back and prepare stuff and come back to you. So that's where my mind was and what we were doing, so I'm glad happy to explain that.
We're gonna take a moment. If anybody needs to take a break, we're signing. I'm gonna let you sign first.
Okay, we'll do this in order.
Can I call? Is the commission ready?
I think we have some changes, so I still have to.
Oh, she's, we had changes going to the last minute with people volunteering and coming in, so. Lauren.
Yeah, I can write it at the same time.
Okay.
Lauren, I'm looking for my agenda. We're now on conduct a public hearing considering discussion and action on appointments to city boards. Lauren has been working very hard on this, so I will hand it over to her.
I'm working with the city manager on this and how we're going to conduct this.
Okay.
But I just wanted to remind everyone that we're looking for 4 vacancies for the Board of Adjustments, which would be consistent of 2 members and 2 alternates. And then the Planning and Zoning Board, there is only 3 vacancies, and one of them is for a member, Frederick McFall. He actually wants to be reappointed.
Okay.
So you can either choose him to be reappointed or select another qualified resident. But we do need 2 alternates for that board. And the Finance and Budget Review Committee, there's 6 vacancies, which needs to be filled, 4 members and 2 alternates. And then the new board, the Neighborhood Advisory Board, 7 vacancies, 5 members and 2 alternates. So I think I'm going to pass this off to Ryan, because he has an idea of how we should do this.
So, Mayor and Commission, I can explain the process, and then just as following procedure, we should just open up the public comment and then move on to the item, the action of the item. So first of all, it's amazing to see this many applicants wanting to volunteer, wanting to be part of the discussions as we move forward as an organization and community. So whenever you have this situation, there's a good deal of sausage making involved in this. But the idea is for there to be discussion. You have before you members that have or applicants that have selected which board they would like to serve on. And then you have some that put any board. My recommendation is you take the board one at a time, and as you say, for instance, talk about the Board of Adjustment Board, consider the 9 or so members that or applicants that have expressed interest in serving on the Board of Adjustments. Having, you can talk about nominations, but having a discussion, allowing all the commission to talk about, whichever candidates anybody is putting forth, and then in conferring with the city attorney, voting on the members at a time. So even though you have 2 members and 2 alternates, you'll vote on one member, then you'll vote on another member, then you'll vote on an alternate, then you'll vote on another alternate. And it'll require a motion in a second on the selection of the individual. But I want there to, as with anything, I want there to be this feeling of discussion and that you are going through and discerning on the nominees that you want to put forth as a board to serve on these different advisory boards and committees. And so it is a process. It'll take time. I think anytime that you have 35 so individuals and a number of positions to fill, and then of course staff will look forward to working with any of those that you put forth and producing good work. So with that, I think we can kind of work through it. But I just, for the sake of, as we follow through on our agenda, opening it up to public comment before we get into specific.
Would anybody, I guess we're going to open up, conduct a public hearing on considering the discussion and action on appointments for city boards. Is there anybody that would like to discuss that, share an interest in a board that they're in, or any general comment for the public? The floor is open. Yes, please.
Maybe it might be good to just give a brief description of I think you talked about 4 different positions.
Okay. What we will do then is we will start with the Board of Adjustments Board. There are 2 members and 2 alternate positions that we are looking to fill. With that, if I could ask Lauren to kind of read that position.
Sure. Thank you.
Currently, on the Board of Adjustments, the City Commission shall by ordinance establish a Board of Adjustments. Said Board of Adjustments shall consist of 5 members and 2 alternate members who shall have no other city office or city employment. Said ordinance creating the Board of Adjustments shall clearly set forth the scope of authority of the Board of Adjustments and establish its authority to act and render decisions on requests for variances and special exceptions from established zoning and building regulations and appeals to administrative decisions and any other authority deemed appropriate by the City Commission.
Okay, so that is the definition of the Board of Adjustments.
Correct.
At this particular point in time, what I'd like to do is open it up on the floor one more time. Okay, I'm going to close the floor. And what I'd like to do is maybe open it up to the commission. If somebody would like to nominate someone for the Board of Adjustments.
I would like to nominate Jackie Russo, or are you doing just one name at a time?
I think one at a time, and or we could discuss, or what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can do this, it's your prerogative to do this
Okay.
as you want. I just, want to foster communication or discussion. If you want to kind of put forth nominations, and then from those nominations have a more detailed conversation.
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe
so
we just go,
So-
maybe I'll say the ones I like and everybody, we just. give them
I
those.
think that sounds great, Commissioner.
So for the 2, for the members for the Board of Adjustments, I was thinking Jackie Russo, Mark Vermont as the number 1, number 2, Liv Covington as alternate, and Janet Hunt as the other alternate. Jackie Russo as the number 1, Mark Vermont as number 2, Liv Covington as alternate 1, and alternate 2, Janet Hunt.
So I know you all are going to think that Kelly and I talked about this, but those were the exact same ones that I had. We did not talk about it.
I did not.
Would Commissioner Wilson, do you have anybody you'd like to add to that?
Well, no, 2 of those I definitely had because it looked at some qualifications that were such things as engineering or architecture or real estate or business, and it does appear those 4 do meet those qualifications that at least 2 of them kind of see.
And Commissioner Bigelow?
No, I had some of the same ones, so I'm in agreement on a few of these.
That's a good start, so.
Where do we
So-
agree maybe?
So with that, let's talk about a number 1. You mentioned your number 1.
Jackie Russo.
Jackie Russo. Is Jackie Russo on y'all's list as well?
She's on my list for a seat.
Yeah,
So
she was
whether it's
mine.
prior to.
Yeah,
So
mine
you
was
can
as a
say,
member.
so what we can do is, this would be the proper,
Then let's
Commissioner White can
would somebody like to make a motion for Jackie Russo to be on the
a
board?
second and then a vote.
I'll make a motion for Jackie Russo for 1 seat on the Board of Advisories.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion for Jackie Russo for a seat on Board of Adjustment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a,
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Liz Covington as a member of the Board of Adjustments.
do I have, is anybody else?
Is it an alternate or is it?
I had her as a member.
I had her as an alternate.
Likewise.
I would like for someone to, on the commission, to maybe make a motion for the nomination of Michael Marvinish for the Board of Adjustments.
I had
him under planning and zoning, because I thought that's what you wanted.
He actually, I had him read the definitions several days ago, and he actually changed. Is that correct, Lauren? He
Yes.
wants to be on board of adjustments. But I cannot make a motion.
So, okay, but let's stop for a minute,
Okay.
because there are multiple changes, so maybe we should go through the changes first. I had captured some, but I did not have that one, so it
Okay.
doesn't seem appropriate for us to be nominating
So
people
let's-
when they don't want to be on.
We're gonna check, I don't know how to kind of go through this. Can you read all the people that are interested in the Board of Adjustments? Lauren?
Yes.
I've got Rodney Baker, Matthew Barraclough, Tim Dunphy, Janet Hunt, Michael Murnish, John Ferruccio, Mark Rumont, Max Rumont, Carla Stahl, and Laura West.
Janet Hunt was on there as well.
Janet Hunt.
So we had two Vermonts, Max and Mark, because I think Mark was a late entry.
Mark was the late entry, yes,
And
ma'am.
he was open to any of them, as I understand. Okay.
Okay. Does that help, Commissioner?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. I did not.
We can do that on the next one as well.
Yeah, I think that's good, because there have been a couple of moves.
Okay, I will then make a motion to nominate Mike Murnish for Board of Adjustments as a member.
As a member. Do I have a second? No?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I guess a roll call vote.
Okay, you can call, well, absolutely, that works for me.
Okay.
I'm at home.
So we're going to take a roll call vote on naming Michael Murnish.
For the Board of Adjustment as a second member.
No.
Yes.
Let me just say your names first. I'm so sorry, just it would be recurring. Commissioner Watt,
No.
Commissioner Bigelow,
Yes.
Commissioner King, no. Vice Mayor Commissioner Wilson,
No.
Yes, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, so that motion to name Michael Murnish is,
I'd like to,
failed.
can we make a motion to submit Mark Vermont as a member?
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Do I have a call for a vote? Yes, please.
So for member seat 2, we're going to take a roll call vote for Mark Vermont. Commissioner Watt,
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn.
Yes.
Okay, so we have, as second member for the Board of Adjustments, Mark Rumont. Now we'd be looking at naming somebody for the alternate seat 1.
I would like to nominate Liz Covington for alternate seat 1.
Second.
Let me take a roll call. Can you bear with me 1 second? Let me just write this down. Commissioner Watt,
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn.
Yes.
So for the record, for the Board of Adjustments, alternate seat 1, we had Liz Covington. Now we're going to go to the Board of Adjustments, alternate seat 2.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to move to put Janet Hunt for vote for alternate 2 for the Board of Adjustments.
Second.
Call for a vote.
Okay. Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow? Janet Hunt for second alternate seat on the Board of Adjustments.
No.
Commissioner King? Yes. Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
I'm going to say no because I did not have her planned for the Board of Adjustments.
So it is 3-2-2. So Janet Hunt will be the second alternate seat for the Board of Adjustments.
Mayor and Commission, we will hold all applications for those that submitted for the Board of Adjustment. So if there becomes a vacancy, then we can bring forth those applicants to fulfill that vacancy.
Thank you. And we can even see if they'd be open to other positions as well. We're going to move on to planning and zoning. There is an item here that says reappoint Frederick Rick McCall for another 2-year term. Do I have a motion?
Motion to reappoint Mr. McFall.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
I'll call for a vote.
Pardon my, just want to make this note before. All right. Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King? Yes. Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
Now we're going to move on to needing 2 alternate seats for the planning and zoning.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from the list the names to make sure we're all on point. If I miss any, Lauren, if you would let me know.
Do you want me just to go ahead and?
Oh,
do
sure,
them?
that would be great.
How's that? All right. Rodney Baker, Matthew Barclaw, Tim Dunphy, Christopher Everett, Kathy Gerson, Denise Hausberg, Janet Hunt, Michael Mermanish, John Porgio, Mark Rumont. Can I take that, did you name? Mark Rumont is not available. So Max Rumont, Lana Rosenbaum, Jacqueline Russo. Thank you for reminding me that. Jacqueline Russo.
On the first one.
Yep, sorry about that. I should cross it off right there. That's a
Oh,
Judy Schmeling, Carla Stahl, Laura West. Now, those are the ones that selected the planning and zoning. There are some that chose any board, so we just wanted to read them. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But I thought Dr. Monash was switched to the Board of
No.
Adjustment. Or was he?
He chose 2.
Oh,
He
okay.
chose 2,
Okay,
but
thank
wasn't
you.
selected. Thank you.
But if he,
So he still was interested in being the.
I think he was, I was swaying him towards the other, because this was an alternate position. But I think he would be open to it. I don't think he would be, but anyway, I'm gonna call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we appoint as an alternate Diane Lincoln.
Oh, I'll second that one.
Okay, let's call for a vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Diane Lincoln.
I'm gonna say no.
Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
I'm gonna say no, I did not have an opportunity to talk to her.
Okay, so Diane Lincoln is not a first alternate. Does somebody have another nomination?
Should we nominate Michael Marianish as an alternate?
Do I have a second for Michael Hermish as an alternate? She,
I put in the
Commissioner
I
Watt.
did it wrong, you're right, Mayor. I'm nominating Michael Marianish as an alternate to planning and zoning.
I second the motion.
I call for a vote.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor, Commissioner, thank you. I'm just up here enjoying life.
So for first alternate on the P and Z board, we have Michael Mermanish 4-1. So he'll be the first alternate. Now we'll move on to the second alternate.
I propose Laura West for second alternate.
Okay, so we're going for the second alternate for the planning and zoning, and you propose Laura West. You nominate Laura West. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I nominated her. We can't second.
No, I'm looking at John.
I'm looking at qualifications because I was leaning towards ones who were engineers and
I'm at a maybe.
Well, then let's look at it.
So I don't know what she-
I think just that this is another one of the board positions that has some specific requirements.
Yeah.
For, we want to make sure it's balanced, even if that's the alternates.
Does she have the
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Dan Doherty. I'm sorry, Tim Dunphy, sorry.
Who?
Tim Dunphy.
I second the motion.
So just, I'm going to,
Laura West was not seconded because we looked at her, so she did not get a second due to qualifications.
okay, got that?
We
That
had,
motion will fail then.
we had a, first and a second for Tim Dunphy.
Okay, who had the first vote for Tim Dunphy?
I nominated him.
Thank you.
King, Commissioner King. And
And
did
who
you
was the second on that?
Bigelow.
Thank you.
John seconded.
Thank you, Commissioner Bigelow.
I did.
All right, I'll do a roll on that. Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have a second for the P and Z, Timothy Dunphy. Then we're going to move on to the finance.
And who knew we had so many people with accounting and finance backgrounds? Yeah. This one's easy to find some.
Robin's excited.
City,
I'm going to read off
City
of.
Clerk Warren, we do have Earl Wesson, which is already on the committee, correct?
That is correct, so that's why we're only seeking
Earl
4
Wesson.
seats.
Oh, 4, okay.
Oh, so four.
Because we
So we have
Okay.
We have 4 seats to fill.
We have four
plus
seats
2.
to fill.
Right, that was too many places. on
Yeah,
the
but there are too many
board.
places on there.
Okay.
My apologies.
No.
Well, it's okay,
I-
I'm gonna use 10%.
My grid was not accurate. My worksheet for you guys.
We were
It's all
busy.
It's okay, we got this.
So, I'll read the names. City manager was so kind as to scratch off the names that have already been filled, so. For the Finance and Budget Review Board, we have Rodney Baker, Maureen Ballack, Matthew Barrowclaw, Marie Mazzara, John Percio, Max Romont, Lana Rosenbaum, Judy Schmeling, Carla Stahl, Laura West, and Heidi Wilkers. City manager pointed out there's 12 people for 6 spots, so that should be good.
I make a motion for Maureen Bullock.
Do I have a second for Maureen?
I'll do a second, Heather, on
I have a first and a second. Can we call for a vote?
Commissioner Watt? Yes. Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we've got a first board member for the Finance and Budget Review. It's Maureen Bullock. Move on to now filling.
Do I have a nomination for a second chair in the Finance Committee?
Dan Dougherty. Make a motion for Dan Dougherty.
I'll second that motion.
Can we call for a vote for Dan?
Commissioner Watt? Yes. Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, for the second member, we have Dan Doherty for the Finance and Budget Review. Let's move on to third.
I have someone on the commission to make a motion for the nomination of Marie Mazzara.
I make a motion for the nomination of Maureen Mazzara.
Do I have a second?
I have to recuse myself from voting for her. I thought her application was kind of shady. It's actually my wife, if nobody knew. She does.
And seeing as how you're telling us she's shady, what does she do for a living, John?
She was the CFO for a very large company. Or she was, she just retired.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Can we call for a vote?
Commissioner Watt?
Just
Yes.
push back.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
We have a four vote.
You're in, honey.
for Marie Mazzara. All right, last member seat to fill.
I'd like to nominate Heidi Walkers.
I'll second that.
Can we call for a vote?
Commissioner Watt? Yes. Commissioner Bigelow? Heidi Wilkers? Wilkers, I'm sorry, I'm just saying that. Heidi Wilkers.
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
With 5-0 you all agree. So Heidi Wilkers will be the fourth seat for the Finance Budget Review Committee. I just need to pick 2 alternates.
Make a motion for Judy Schmeling.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have a full vote for Judy Schmeling. Am I saying this Schmeling? Schmeling, yes. For first seat alternate on the Finance and Budget Review Board. Let's go for second alternate.
Can I have someone on the commission make a motion for the nomination of John Ferruccio?
I was thinking of him for the Neighbor Advisory Board.
Okay.
He'd be great, but I was just gonna nominate him.
I'll make a motion.
Yes.
For John Ferruccio for second alternate.
Oh, okay.
I'll second.
I think I asked if he would be happy to serve.
Okay.
All right, so we're going for the second alternate, John Ferruccio, Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we 5-0. We filled the Finance and Budget Review Board.
We've got 10 minutes left.
We can do it.
I make a motion for Lee Wilkerson for the Neighbor Advisory Board.
Do I have a second for Lee Wilkerson, Neighborhood Advisory Board?
Second.
Call for a vote for Lee Wilkerson for the Neighborhood Advisory Board.
And I'm sorry, who's the first?
It was nominated by Commissioner Watt.
Thank you.
Seconded by Commissioner King.
Thank you, my apologies. Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, so Lee Wilkerson, 5 full vote for first seat for the Neighborhood Advisory Board.
I make a motion.
I'd like to nominate Chris Everett for the Neighbor Advisory Board.
Chris Everett.
Do I have a second for Chris Everett for the Advisory Board? Do I have a second for Chris Everett for the Advisory Board? No? Okay.
Okay, the motion fails. Do we have any?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Kathy Gerson for the Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Second.
Call for a vote.
And once again, we have, that motion was made by Vice Mayor Wilson
Yes.
and seconded by King.
Yes.
Commissioner King, my apologies, that's okay. Commissioner Watt?
No.
Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
So we have a 3-2 vote. Kathy Gerson for the second seat for the Neighbor Advisory Board. We'll now move into filling a third seat.
I make a motion for Rob Florio.
Second.
We have a second.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right.
Make a motion for Gary
Let me just put this in, record this really quick. We have 4-1 for Robert Florio for third seat on the Neighborhood Advisory Board. Thank you.
Make a motion for Gary Huggins.
Do I have a second for Gary Huggins?
I'll second for Gary.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
No.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
3-2. Gary Huggins will be the fourth member on the Neighbor Advisory Board.
I'd like to nominate Chris Plumley.
I'll second that.
Okay. Commissioner Watt?
No.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have 4-1. Chris Plumley is the fifth seat, so now we're just going to fill 2 alternates.
May I have someone on the commission make a motion for the nomination of Patty Katz for the Neighborhood Advisory Board?
I make a motion for Patty Katz for the Neighborhood Advisory Board.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
All right, we have 5-0. So Patty Katz is the first alternate for the Neighborhood Advisory Board, second alternate now.
Make a motion for Tom Wilson for this next alternate.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Bigelow?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
No.
Vice Mayor Wilson?
No.
Mayor Vaughn?
Yes.
3-2. Tom Wilson will be the second alternate for the Neighborhood Advisory Board. That is, that is, we've filled all the seats. I'll definitely work on this first thing in the morning and give you a report and contact I will be contacting all the applicants, even the ones that weren't chosen now.
We did it.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Do we need a motion to adjourn now?
We have items on the. We have items on the agenda.
We have neighbor feedback and future agenda items, but we have 3 minutes and the meeting has to cease for a vote to extend it.
Okay. So what actually, we've got 3 minutes, and the only thing on the agenda right now is neighbor feedback. Would
Future
any,
agenda.
I beg your pardon?
And future agenda items.
And future agenda items. Can we have a motion to extend the meeting for a few minutes?
I will make a motion to extend the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So We now have time for neighbor feedback for anybody who would like to come up to the podium and
For those of
speak.
you thankfully still
Okay.
here and remaining.
The floor is closed. So, now we're going to future agenda items. Ryan, would that be you? You wanted an opportunity to.
Sure. I know Commissioner King, I spoke to Commissioner King today, and one of the reasons why I also wanted to kind of hold off my comments to the end, I understand that people have left, but we can talk about this certainly more with everybody here. I do, since we had our meeting last month and we were talking about parking and neighborhood parking, I took some time to actually go back and review the vision report that was done back in 2020 by Ford Pinellas. There's some things that came out of that I think probably this commission, doesn't probably, not speaking for the commission, but I think that there's some things that came out of there that this commission, based off our strategic planning session, wouldn't want to really talk about or take on right now. I think our master plan and our land development regulation code, updating that, bringing in a third party, I think hits a lot of the things when we talk about moving forward and kind of our planning and planning aspects of the city. But one thing that did come out of the vision report was the suggestion and the recommendation of a parking study done east of Gulf. And they didn't really talk about west of Gulf, but they understood that whether paid parking was coming or not, that east of Gulf and trying to find a parking solution that extends into the neighborhoods, but also cognizant of the businesses, was something that they recommended that this city look at. Based off the comments that we've received, not just from tonight, because I've received emails as well, but also, in mindful of the conversation that this commission had at the last meeting about wanting to look at residential only on-street parking, my recommendation is that we do a parking study to look at east of Gulf and to involve, whether it's the neighbor advisory board, whether it's a ad hoc committee that involves residents and businesses, but I want to get it right too. And I think that based off the feedback that I've received, certainly from residents, but also from businesses, is that coming up with a comprehensive plan of handling parking east of Gulf and looking at all options. I mean, I'll tell you right now, there's not a lot of land, right, for available parking. I mean, we have a lot of no parking signs already in our residential area in east of Gulf. And then you look around and, well, where are the parking spots? Well, there's Cole Park, and we've seen what that looks like on weekends, right? Between Little League, beach going, pickleball, tennis, basketball, what have you. And then you have City Hall, right? But there's some other areas, right? There's some other lots, and I don't want to speak for those owners of those lots, but there's, I think, an opportunity to really look at this holistically and talk about bring in a party. I think that we can probably tie this into the scope of the master plan and our land development regulation updates, but thoughtfully look at parking and a parking solution east of Gulf that is cognizant certainly of our neighbors, but also recognizes our businesses and wanting to keep those businesses here and kind of just try to come up with a holistic solution. So that's my recommendation. And I had a conversation with Commissioner King this afternoon. She mentioned that she would talk about it at future agenda items. So, Commissioner King, I can turn it over to you because we had that conversation.
Yeah, I think we're aligned on that. We talked about it extensively at our last meeting. There were a lot of neighbor input and certainly business input today, and then just through the email. And I think it behooves all of us, rather than to try to do a piecemeal solution, to look at it holistically. Because once you do something, you can always repeal it, but it's very confusing, and it looks like we're not very structured and organized and don't have a good plan for our city. So I really like the idea of tying a study on our parking holistically, whether it's just east of Gulf. That seems to be a contention point right now with a lot of street parking, including the single-family neighborhoods and then the areas that are more high-density, multi-family residential and some commercial properties. I think it would be a good idea for us to do that, and I'd like the idea of tying it in with the master plan. So I know we've got the pilot plan for the paid parking that we're looking at a 6 month, but that doesn't mean we can't still have a study on what the rest of the town parking would look like. I know Brian had a few ideas for some other parking lots that we might be able to tie into that if we can make that work.
With partnerships or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see that as a, whether
Right,
it's a
and-
workshop or
yeah,
how
and-
we would structure
And
that.
I know that we talked about, and comments were made about the workshop. I mean, what I envision is that part of that study and part of utilizing a third party to come in and consult would be those open meetings and those workshops, even charrettes. I'm familiar with doing charrettes and looking at the map and just kind of identifying areas, areas where we stay away from, areas where we may have a conversation on. But in terms of a future agenda item, I would get, I want to get with staff. I want to start, we've already started looking at, what firms and, what that would look like, RFQ process for the master plan, and incorporate this scope of work into that. And if we can move quicker before the end of this fiscal year, there might be an opportunity to do somewhat of like a bridge agreement that gets us to the next, start the work so we get to the next fiscal year and then budget for, the bulk of the work that'll take us, that we would be able to budget for.
So look at it like a phased approach, that there's some.
Right, I think that
that's
that's-
done in this year, and then we look at the larger scope for.
Right, and we would, and I think firms would work with us on that, understanding that we're coming up on the end of the fiscal year.
So how would we incorporate the current parking test that we're doing now? How would that interfere with this study?
No,
I'm trying to.
Give us some more information,
It would give us
because we'll
more
know where
information.
those gridlocks are.
Right, and really going back and looking at the vision report, I mean, I think that Fort Pinellas, and I know the conversation about paid parking and beach access had been going on for years. So I think that separate from that, it's, okay, now you got this other side that you got to figure out, not just because people may spill over into it, but you still have businesses there and you have residents there, and we got to figure out a way of, where do we put people? And, I think, I think rather than doing it piecemeal, I think that this is a better way of handling it, and that would be my recommendation. And that way you can involve the community and the businesses in that conversation. And they propose recommendations, you ultimately would vote on which recommendation you want to go with. So.
I think it's a good future agenda item. I think you have a consensus of the commission that we want to pursue it.
And I think we'll have some good information from this first initial beach parking as to where those places are we're gonna have to look seriously at, so.
Sure.
Would the county, I know the county deals with Gulf Boulevard. Have they done a study on Gulf Boulevard down through here recently?
On traffic or traffic?
Well, I recall hearing somewhere that Gulf Boulevard has a D rating.
Oh, no, it's F.
It's an F now?
Yes.
Well, I heard it was
It's an
F,
F.
now it's a D. But I've heard that Gulf Boulevard has a D/F rating now on Gulf Boulevard around Walsingham, that area. And I would love to know what the county says about that as well. Maybe we can get some money from them to help us with this study.
But remember, the county's only this side.
Yeah.
FDOT's that side.
Yeah.
We can always study half.
We can always ask.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Any other future, anything else?
If I may, it is potentially an item for vote, but upcoming meetings and events. I do want to bring to everybody's attention that at the last meeting, we moved the commission meeting from August 11th to August 18th. August 18th happens to be a voting day, election day.
Right.
And so this building is utilized for the elections. We can certainly have this meeting and work with having this meeting at the Holiday Inn on the 18th, if that works. And I apologize for that. Should have brought that up when we were talking about that. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention that if we move forward with having a meeting on August 18th, we would have it at the Holiday Inn, and I anticipate that being the only meeting we have at the Holiday Inn this year.
Just bring blankets.
And I know we would be able to accommodate those that wouldn't be in attendance for that virtually.
Yeah, the change makes it practically impossible for me to get here for that meeting, so physically I can participate remotely. I know the Holiday Inn makes it even bigger challenge, because the audio is horrific.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
No, I didn't realize that the 11th was, or the 18th was election day, so apologies. You don't have to vote on that. I mean, if I've got general consensus that we hold that August 18th, you voted on it last meeting. I just wanted to bring that to attention that would be.
So we moved it from the 11th
to the 18th, yes.
And we moved it to the.
What I'm telling you now is that we'll have it at the Holiday Inn because this has to be held for the election.
Do we want to talk about moving, does it help if we move it one more day, one way or the other? Like, I don't know,
Would it
throw out
help
the
you?
question.
No, that's a part of my, where I'm out of town, that I'm about 10 hours from the nearest airport. So that would be really tough. But it might help for, for just convenience of location, but for me, I think, but thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other future agenda items?
No, I was going to cover that under upcoming city meeting events, but I figured that about there.
Does anybody else have anything on a consent agenda they would like to look at in the future? I know that you and I were talking about a street safety, dealing with speed limits, golf carts, etc. Would that be upcoming in the future, or?
Yeah, the speed limit conversation.
Or would we hold off until I'm asking, what would be the best venue to approach that?
I think that we can certainly prepare a work session item. I know that speed limits has come up in the past. I would like to just have probably conversations, a little more conversations with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office about that. And, I know that the issue in the past has, I think, it's 25 in the neighborhoods and bringing that down to 20. And certainly, I can certainly prepare an item for that. If it's all right, if it may not be the June meeting, but try to have that for a work session item in the summer. I'm happy with having that as a work session
Do
item.
we know if will we have to have a traffic study done in order to change the speed limit? I think that's got to be one of the topics.
We had had an initial traffic study done on Harbor Drive several years ago. I guess I was approached by the same people that I was approached with before about asking about speed limits again, kind of talking about how construction workers are now parking. It's preferred that they park on one side, but now they're parking on both, and that creates a danger and a street safety. I don't know if we have an ordinance in that, or if we can.
Well, if I can, we'll talk with staff. We'll, as part of the work session item, if it is determined that there needs to be a traffic study, we'll certainly bring that up in the work session and talk about what that would look like in terms of options.
Maybe you could just let us know what the steps.
We could bring that up as we talk about the work session.
And maybe you can address that with the sheriff. I don't know if there's a policy on double parking. I know that there's a lot of creative parking in our intersections where the stop signs are located.
They've been doing a good job.
They're very creative.
They are creative. But I will say that the sheriff's department's done a good job lately of ticketing, at least down in the East Golf area.
If it's I don't know that, I think, to Mayor Vaughn's point, I don't think we have an ordinance about parking on both sides of the
Well,
street.
and that's why I'm asking. I don't know, but when construction workers are parking on both sides and the gentleman's walking his dog.
Yeah, but I think that, also, I found at least on my drives around town that there are many, many, many times where it's so obstructed that there is no way, if I can barely get my rather, mid-sized car through, there's no way that a fire truck is getting through.
And that right there
I think
is
that's a really big concern that, irrespective of what the ordinance is or is not.
We're ready?
Do anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you all. That was fun.
It was not. It was